My wife, she's a fashion photographer. So I got very interested in her profession and hear stories from that industry from the inside. And I got interested in beauty as a currency. The models are coming from very different parts of society, and some of them are coming from working class. And that beauty can become like that you have won in the genetic lottery and become beautiful, and it can be something that elevates you in class society. So I thought that was an interesting aspect of looking at hierarchies and how our behavior is changing because of which position we have in a social and an economical structure. So that was basically the starting point. I think in many of my films I have been dealing with situations where I feel that there's a cultural expectation on how I should behave, or a gender norm that is creating a social contract that I should apply to. And I always feel that I get very interested in the situations where I don't feel that I can really, apply to that contract. And this scene is from early, also in my relationship with my wife, when we were starting to date. And I wanted to impress her, so I paid for the first dinner, the second dinner, the third dinner. But I also started to feel that I like her too much. So I don't know if I can keep playing this sugar daddy in our relationship. And I wanted to bring this up. And when we are having the third dinner, she says, "Thank you so much." When I'm paying, she says, "Thank you so much. Tomorrow I will invite you." And I feel like, phew, she knows what I'm talking about. But then when we're sitting there in the restaurant again, and we're getting closer that the bill should be put on the table, I'm starting to get nervous. And I just feel like, please deal with this in a nice way now. And the bill is put on the table, but she doesn't pick it up. And the time aspect of a bill being placed on the table in front of a woman and a man, I think it's much more painful for the man. And after a while, I can't stand it anymore. So I just lean over a little bit, and immediately she says, "Thank you so much, honey." And then I feel forced to pay the bill. So I bring up my wallet and I put the card on the table. And she asks, "So what's up?" I'm like, "Oh no, I can't bring this up on the table. I can't talk about economy." I think it's so hard to talk about economy when it comes to being in a relationship and man-woman. But I bring it up, and we have the most absurd extreme fight that goes like in a roller coaster during that night. And I thought when I was writing the script for Triangle of Sadness, I really felt that it has something to do with beauty and sexuality as a currency. And it has something to do with power structures and gender expectations. So it felt completely natural to put the whole episode into the film. When I was in the starting point of my career of being a film director, I think I was much more influenced by the European art house tradition. And then I made my third film called Play, and I felt that I had pushed that kind of aesthetics as far as I could. And I also felt that it doesn't have to be a contradiction between dealing with something that you think is important at the same time as you're trying to be entertaining. So I decided when I did Force Majeure that I wanted to try to create something that is thought-provoking, but at the same time something that we actually want to click on. That the competition between all the other movies, we have to take that serious when we are filmmakers in Europe. And we cannot just only rely on that we have a state-founded culture and a state-founded film production. So I decided to try to create something where you combine the best part of the American film industry that is much better to reach the audience and get in connection with the audience, and with the best part of European film industry that is, it's the mission of the movies to provoke thoughts, to make us ask questions about the time we live in, about society and being a human being. Well, for me, it feels 100% natural to not approach the characters in the film in, moralistic way. and that I would judge them. Maybe it comes a little bit with my upbringing. I'm brought up by a mother that became left-wing during the 60s, and got very interested in Marx and Marxist theories. And Marx was also one of the founders of sociology. And I think that the great thing with sociology is that it puts the context in the spotlight, and the human being that is trying to deal with the context, it's not pointing finger towards that individual. It's rather saying, with this setup of a situation, we actually can act in this way. And that have been my approach in all my movies. I would say that rather than trying to explain certain scenarios through the character, I want to explain the scenarios that is happening through the context of the situation. And in these times, I basically think it's even more important because we live in a time where we are completely obsessed with the individual. Even news reporting have a good guy and a bad guy. And I think that we need to take a couple of steps back and look at the bigger picture. I'm doing a film called The Entertainment System is Down, and it's a feature film, and it takes place on a long-haul flight. Quite soon after takeoff, the passengers gets the horrible news that the entertainment system is not working. So when the iPads and the iPhones is charging out, we have modern human beings that is completely dopamine addicts when it comes to scrolling their own individual screens, that have to deal with boredom. And so I'm going to use the airplane as a sociological experimental lab and trying to investigate what happens to us when we are taking away this drug.